Love it or hate it, Miss Grand Thailand always delivers for entertainment. Welcome to the channel. My name is Dani Walker and today I'm recapping Miss Grand Thailand 2022. Thank you so much for clicking on this episode. I hope you'll choose to support the channel by clicking that subscribe button as well as the notifications bell so you know when new episodes are posted every week. Let's start at the beginning with the opening number dance. Oh my gosh, this was so impressive. The staging is truly grand. The lighting, the music, I guess you could say the theme or the decor of the staging, and not even opening number outfits. I would say costumes, really, because the pieces that the contestants and the title holders are wearing are all custom. They're not like a Sherry Hill cocktail dress. This isn't something that you would just pick up at your local prom or evening gown store. These are truly custom and they're clearly designed to suit the staging of this show. So all of that really adds, I think, to the extravagance of Miss Grand Thailand, and it's something that I think makes it really fun and enjoyable and very just exciting to watch. I think it would honestly be a really fun pageant to watch in person. And I'll say that I am very impressed by the difficulty of the dance moves for the contestants as well as for the reigning title holders. I'm really blown away by that because that's a lot to do in heels. If you've never watched Miss Grand International before or Miss Grand Thailand, you will probably find the opening introductions very interesting or possibly confusing. I was very confused the first time I saw it too. The introductions are not your typical, "Hi, my name is Dani Walker and I'm representing the state of Montana." It's not like that. They deliver them all in a very unique way. And then they also will add little gestures and movements, and that's because there is a introduction competition, so whoever has the most creative introduction. I don't know how any of that is scored, but you see really creative and honestly just silly introductions. That's the best way I could describe it. I know a lot of people make comments about it, and I just think that honestly the introductions for this show are all in good fun. If you're a pageant contestant who likes to take a comprehensive approach to pageant prep, then I suggest checking out the description below where you can find information about my newest course called Content Queen. And this course is centered all around social media management. This is for title holders as well as pageant contestants who want to learn how to up their game on social media leading up to their next competition and far beyond it. I didn't watch the preliminary competition because I was covering Miss Universe Philippines leading up to this pageant and they sort of overlapped. So I wasn't familiar with this year's contestants. And I will say that the beginning of the swimsuit competition though, it was fire. Wow. The dances, the choreography was so fun and it was just electric. And I thought it was a really great show opening. And so for the swimsuit competition though, I will mention that 20 of the contestants competed, so out of over 70, there were 77 contestants this year, and they narrowed it down to the top 20. I'm going to share with you my favorites for the swimsuit competition, and this is another thing. If you've never seen this pageant before, you're going to go, what in the world? The walks and the theatrics of it are very different. They're very unique, and this is one of the things that makes Miss Grand International different from other pageants. So my advice is just not to even compare it to things like Miss Universe or like Miss Earth, because they're just very different and they're looking for different things. When the top 20 was announced, they put the contestants back in their numerical order, and the ones that stood out to me, first of all, was contestant number 1, and she did this little over the head arm pose at the end for swimsuit, and I especially liked that. And once again, this is not something you're gonna see in other systems. It's not something I would say try that out at your next Miss USA state pageant, but for Grand it does work. And I feel like that's one of the things that helps contestants move on, is when they have sort of a signature move going on in their performance, or I guess a signature walk or choreography. The next contestant I really liked was contestant number 4. She did this little dance thing and then she literally did the moonwalk in heels. It was quite impressive. There was a little trip at the end, but you know what? She attempted it and I was just blown away by it. I was shocked that there are still firsts that we see in pageantry. I feel like that's probably the first time that that's ever happened at a pageant. for a competition. Aside from the moonwalk, I feel like she nailed that ending eye contact, so for me, she would have been advancing. Next, I like contestant number 6. She did this little arm thing at the beginning, and all of her transitions between poses were really clean, and I think that's another important thing. You can do things that in other pageants are considered over the top at Grand, but make them clean. Don't be messy. I feel like that's a really important key. I liked number 13. I felt like the opening of her routine took a little longer than it should have, but I really loved the ending pose and the eye contact. Number 24, great performance, and I really love the over-the-shoulder final look. Number 56 is gorgeous in my opinion. She looks like she's photoshopped in real life. She had a great routine, but there wasn't anything over the top about this one, at least for Miss Grand. 59 I really liked, but I will say that I thought that her entire performance and choreography felt really safe for Grand. Number 72, by the way, reminds me a little bit of Natasha Martinez. She was Miss California USA, I want to say in 2015. And aside from that resemblance, I thought that her routine was really unique because of the transitions. And even when she walked down the runway, it wasn't even a straight walk. She kind of went far to one side and then went back to the center of the staging, but it looked very intentional. So it was just very unique. It stuck out, and she's stunning. Comment Grand down below if you felt like this year's contestants were extremely competitive like I did. After that, they narrowed it down to a top 10 for evening gown, and I must say, I really love the queens posing in the back. That staging was beautiful. It's just such a great moment in the show. And then I'm gonna share with you my favorites in a very particular order because they went in a particular order. They went numerically again. I really liked number 1. She had a very fun multicolored gown, but my favorite thing about her was her smile. There was something really special about it, and I can't even put it in words, but that was my note for her, and I really liked her ending pose. Then I liked number 4, and I will say that these two-piece gowns are such a trend right now, especially in Grand, but we also saw one place at Miss USA this past year, and so it's just something I'm seeing more of. We also saw it at Miss Universe Philippines. Albay wore a two-piece looking gown. Aside from that, really great eye contact. It was piercing the entire time. She knows how to connect with the camera. Then we have number 41, and she really got the crowd going. I felt like she had such great energy, and you just felt her. I could feel her through the camera, and it was wonderful. One of my favorites easily. Then we have number 42, and my favorite facial expression of hers is when she does this closed mouth smile, and I just felt like she has that down. The only thing I wish we didn't see, but I know that it's Grand, is when she made that number 1, and it's because there's this saying about being the one and only Grand. I know that everybody's gonna correct me once I edit this, but there's a saying about Miss Grand International and being the only one. And so I really loved her. And then number 72, my comment was just, wow, the energy and the facials, loved her. So for me, it was interesting when I watched Gown and really paid attention to it. I had the same top 5 that the judges had. And that doesn't always happen when I recap pageants, but this time it worked out that way. After this, the top 10 all got asked the same question, and I don't speak Thai, so I apologize because I don't have a translation of this. But if you do speak Thai and you want to share what this question was with everyone in the comments, I know everybody who doesn't speak Thai would appreciate that, and I would be happy to like that comment so then it could rise to the top and everybody can all be on the same page. That would be such a huge help. People did, though, comment in the live video that I did, and if you want to see that, I also shared the live reaction video on the channel. That is still up, and some people were commenting and saying that the question had something to do with should senators vote to select the prime minister, something like that, and I don't know what the answers were, but I was really paying attention to the way that the contestants delivered the answers and then also to how the audience was reacting. And that is something that transcends any language. It is your body language, your facial expression, your tone, your gestures, all of those things, regardless of what language somebody is speaking, generally we can kind of gauge what's going on a little bit. So that's really what I was focused on. And I will say that number 1 sounded very, very confident, and she really got the audience going. So I felt like that probably earned her some points. Number 4 had that same effect too. She really, really had the audience cheering loudly. And then I will say that the way that she delivered her answer felt very confident. And so those were the 2 that I really took my main notes on. And then I just continued to watch the rest of the show. But I do want to say that I'm really sad that they don't put earphones on the contestants, because it's such a hard position to be in. If you're the first contestant, you sort of have an advantage because whatever you say is going to be the first time the audience hears it. But then if you're one of the remaining 9 contestants, you almost can feel like, oh gosh, well, she said that, now I should say something different. But what if you truly agreed with her? What if you held the same stance as another contestant and had the same opinion? Obviously, you're going to state it in your own words, but that kind of answer just doesn't have the same oomph that it would have the first time around, the first time an audience hears that answer, especially if it was a good answer or one that is of popular opinion. And so I feel like that is a bit of an unfair advantage. And then we narrowed it down to the top 5. And our top 5 were contestants 41, 4, 72, 42, and 1. And then once again, the top 5 got the same question and there were no headphones, so that bummed me out. Now, the question for the top 5 people once again were commenting and saying that it had something to do with corruption and transparency in the government. And what advice would you share with the Prime Minister? Something along those lines. And I know that it's not exact. If you know the exact question and if you feel kind enough to translate the answers, then please do so in the comments. Now, number 41, when I listened to her answer, it seemed fine at first, but at the end of it, she shook her head as she walked off. So I just thought, oh boy, that cannot be a good sign. Number 4, the audience cheered very loudly. Number 72, the audience did not cheer as much, although it looked like she spoke really well. Her delivery sounded great to me. Number 42, she got the crowd going again. And then number 1, people were cheering, but they were cheering at the end of her answer. And the thing I noticed about her was her delivery and her gestures. The tone in her voice just sounded very, very sincere. And so that was just something. It's so interesting to watch a pageant when it's not in a language that you understand, because I feel like your perspective can be just so different. So let's talk about the crowning and everything. First of all, this was the 10-year anniversary, so I do really appreciate all the formers that were in the show. I absolutely love that. They did something really special, and thank you for all the people that joined in on the live that were translating a little bit and telling me what was going on. The top 10 that did not advance to the top 5, they were all given a crown and a sash, and they were all awarded as 5th runner-up. You know, why not? It's the 10-year anniversary. I love that. Then here were the results. 4th runner-up was 41. And to me, I was like, that probably makes a lot of sense because she shook her head at the end like she didn't feel like she did her best. Then our 3rd runner-up was 72. Our 2nd runner-up was 4. Our 1st runner-up was 42. And our queen was number 1. And I will say, it's kind of funny, out of all the contestants when I was watching, I did take a specific note on contestant number 1 when she walked out for the evening gown competition. That was the moment that she really stood out for me, and I kind of had her in the back of my head. And I felt the same way when I was watching Miss America's Outstanding Teen this past year, because I also didn't know the winner of that pageant as I was watching it. And there was just something special. There was just a little glow about her, and I was like, wow, I love her. And so for me, though, I wasn't especially surprised by this. And especially because I didn't follow the competition. I don't know who the big favorites were or anything like that. I will say though, overall about this group, this is one of the most competitive groups that I've seen, I want to say collectively, in 2022 so far. There's lots of other pageants to be held still, but even thinking about this group in comparison to the last time I watched this pageant, which would have been I want to say it would have been the 2019 edition, because 2020 edition, they skipped one. things get a little bit mixed up during the COVID era. But the last time I had seen it, contestants were good, but this just felt like these ladies took it up to the next level, like they were already competing at Miss Grand International. So well done to all of the contestants. So many just gorgeous, gorgeous women. And I really hope that we see some of these ladies at least compete for some other international organizations in Thailand. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. If you want to watch my live reaction, then you can check that video out up here. And of course, if you want to see other episodes about Miss Universe or Miss Grand International, like my last recap, you can check that out in this other playlist.